Hi, Ashley here with HeartHookHome.com, and today we are going to learn how to make these tiny clusters using Tunisian crochet. This is a lot of fun. It's very easy. They look like little seashells to me, kind of like in The Little Mermaid, and I just think it's a really pretty stitch, and we are going to work some of this up today. To start the Tiny Clusters Tunisian stitch, you need to make sure that you have a multiple of 3 chains plus 2. So that my multiple of 3 here is 9, and then I did an additional 2 chains for my beginning. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the second chain from my hook. I'm going to look at the back side of it, and I'm going to pull up a loop in this back bar. I'm going to pull up a loop in every single one of these back bars all the way to the end of the chain. Now that I have pulled up a loop in every single one of those chains, I am ready to make my backward pass. This Tiny Clusters pattern is a little bit different than most Tunisian crochet because sometimes, or most times in Tunisian, we just do a chain 1 over here. For this stitch, we're going to do a chain 2. So chain 2, the very first, on the very last over here. So we've got our little chain 2 right here, ready to go. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through 4 loops. So I'm going to pull through this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I've got my 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, all encompassed in that one pull through. Now I'm going to chain 2 again. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I get to the end, we're going to do our chain 2. We're going to pull through 4 again. And now we've just got 2 loops left on our hook. When you get back to the end here, we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to yarn over and pull through both. And that is the backward pass you are going to complete every single time you make one of these Tiny Clusters rows. Now to make your forward pass on all subsequent rows, first we're going to take a look at these chains that we have in between. See these 2 chains we made in between our 2 little clusters or shells here? There's a top bar, a bottom bar, and then there's the back bar. And what you're going to do is you're going to, first off, this tiny little loop right here, I'm going to ignore that completely. I am going to pull up a loop in the front or top loop only of this chain right here. So I'm going to stick my hook right here and just grab that, just the top single loop. Pull up a loop. Now I'm going to go into the back bar of that same chain, but it's actually looking like it's on top of that shell. You see that hole here? We're going to go right into there and pull up a loop there as well. And now we're going to pull up a loop in the top part only of these 2 chains, and then we're going to pull up a loop in the top of that shell, right? So we're going to go 1, 2, and then this one is number 3. So every set of shells you do, you're going to pull up 3 loops. So I'm going to go to the top loop here, just that top one, for 1, 2, just the top loop of the next chain, and then this is going to be number 3, where it's directly on top of that little shell. And now when you get to the end of the row, you've got this side and this stitch here. So this is our last shell. We went into the top of that last shell. Now we're going to pull up a loop in just this one chain here, the top loop only of that one chain. And now since this is the side of our piece, we're going to stick our hook through both sides of the outside of that V. So now we've got both sides here. Pull up a loop. And now we are ready to do the same exact backward pass that we just did. So first things first, move my stitches up a little bit. I'm going to do a chain 2. And now on the subsequent row, this is going to be the side of my work. The chain that I'm doing right here is the one where we're going to go into the top half only of that one chain. So now that I've got my chain 2 on my side here for the left side, I'm going to yarn over and pull through 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 2, yarn over, pull through 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we only have 2 loops on our hook left, we're going to chain 1, yarn over, and pull through both. Now let's pull up our loops again. You should have your shells stacking nicely, and they should stack in columns all the way up your entire piece. If you notice that your shells get off by 1 chain or 1 stitch, that means that you probably didn't pull up enough loops in your 2 chains here, 1, 2. You probably just didn't pull up enough loops. The great thing about Tunisian crochet, as opposed to knitting particularly, is that if you screw up 1 stitch, all you have to do is go back to where you only have this 1 loop left and just redo that row. So I'm going to pull up a loop in this first chain here, just the top bar, pull up a loop. Now I'm going to pull up a loop in the center of that shell, right? Now I'm going to pull up a loop in this one, and the top of that shell. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that again. 1, 2, and 3. Now that we are at the end, we have this side stitch here that we talked about. This is the second chain that we made. We're going to pull up a loop right in this top loop only. Oops. And now we're going to insert our hook on both sides of this V to make sure we get the whole outside stitch. And now we are ready to do our chain 2, pull through 4, chain 2, pull through 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are at the end where we only have 2 left, so we're going to chain 1 and yarn over, pull through both. And that is how you make the Tiny Clusters crochet in Tunisian crochet. Isn't that adorable? I love this stitch. I'm featuring this stitch in a new design coming out soon on hearthookhome.com, and I know you're going to love it. In order to fasten off this stitch, I do what I do with all of my Tunisian crochet, and I go into the same stitches where I have been this whole time. So I'm going to go into this chain here, just the top part, and I'm just going to slip stitch. I'm going to go into the top of that shell, and I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to go into the next chain where I would have been pulling up a loop, slip stitch, next chain, slip stitch, top of the shell, slip stitch, next chain, top of the shell, that chain, and then the 2 on the outside, we're going to slip stitch into those as well, and that is how you fasten off for the Tiny Clusters Tunisian crochet. I hope you love this stitch. It's a lot of fun and it's pretty mindless, and it's a great introduction to fun Tunisian crochet. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you soon.